You're listening to the Minutes on Growth podcast, the show that brings you mindfully curated insights into relationships, spirituality, personal development, and everything in between, with your host, Tannaz Hosseinpour.
Hi, soul friends. It's Tannaz Hosseinpour, and welcome back to another short solo episode of the Minutes on Growth podcast. In episode 101, I dive deeper into the spiritual meaning behind the manifestation process, the conscious manifestation process, and how our soul knows its desires prior to entering the physical realm, and how the universe is always ready and willing to help us manifest those desires. I also talked about the fact that we don't have control over what happens in our life externally, simply because the world includes many more souls than just ours, and external events are a projection of a collective consciousness. I also mentioned that there are many unique blessings that are not only meant for us, but meant to be manifested through us. And that is such an empowering thought. Now, usually the two most commonly asked questions that tend to come up after this are, why do certain desires never get manifested? And is there a limit to how many blessings we can manifest? I also received a third question that I wanted to answer, and that question was, if our soul knows the journey, then what is the process of embodiment? So, let's begin. To answer the first one, certain desires don't get manifested, not as a form of rejection, but rather as a form of reflection and or redirection. Sometimes we need to work on our mindset in order to be able to bring it into the physical realm, meaning that we need to get our belief system to a place where it feels like it's doable and possible to have that manifested. This is similar to gardening, where we need to ensure that the soil is ready before we plant a seed. Otherwise, the chances of it actually blossoming into a flower isn't that high. Or sometimes it's a sign that we need to go back to the desire and ask ourselves if it truly will spark joy for us, and if it truly belongs to us, and if it truly will serve the highest good for all. Because let's be honest, how many times have you attracted something only to realize it didn't give you the joy you anticipated? And it really wasn't a desire that set your soul on fire. Or sometimes it's a form of protection from something that will bring more harm than blessings. But we can't see the bigger picture in that moment. Again, let me ask you this. How many times has something not happened for you? And while you were super disappointed in that moment, years later, you were super grateful because that closed door opened so many other more soul expansive opportunities for you. So that's why some desires don't get manifested into the physical realm. Now, in regards to the second question, there are absolutely no limits to the number of blessings we can manifest, and it's because there is an abundance available to us, to all of us at every given moment. However, every soul has a story. Every soul has a purpose, and naturally, not every soul has the same desire. So while there are no universal limits, each soul knows its own capacity in terms of the desires it wants to manifest. So for example, my desires are very different than Elon Musk's desires. So he has a desire to revolutionize the space sector, whereas I have zero desire regarding that. Therefore, his ability to manifest that would be much higher than mine, as it's aligned with his soul's purpose, and he's willing to put in more effort to make it happen. Now, I want to take a moment and talk about this part too, because as I always say, there is no attraction without action. The word action is literally an attraction. So for example, I have a desire to teach and write, so the universe is always available to support me on this path. But My level of accomplishment is also highly dependent on the effort I put in on this path. So while my soul's capacity is 100, I might only manifest 70% of it as a result of my own effort. And this again ties into free will. Now, lastly, the question of what role embodiment plays if our soul already knows its journey. So embodiment is the process of embodying within our body, our mind, our soul, all the traits that our higher self, the version of us that has already manifested that desire, now in real time. So what do I mean when I say the version of us that has already manifested that desire? Well, let me ask you this and be honest with me. When you think of your dream relationship, how do you envision it? Do you envision calm and respectful conversations, especially during conflict? Do you envision yourself gracefully self-regulating when triggered? Do you see yourself as an expressive person who's able to show appreciation and speak love with more ease? And then ask yourself, if you are that person now, today. And the harsh truth is there's usually a gap between the person we are today and the person we want to be when that manifestation takes place. If someone expresses to me their desire to bring into their life a healthy, loving relationship, I ask them how far they currently are from that version of them who is co-creating a healthy, loving relationship with their ideal partner. Embodiment is the process of trying to be that person now, today, in this given moment, before the physical manifestation has taken place. So think of it as your way of putting down a deposit with the universe. So here's me telling the universe, I'm committed to the desire. So support me in bringing it to life. So while the soul knows the desire, it still needs to prepare itself for the desire to flow through it. Embodiment helps prepare the vessel for the manifestation to take place. And with that, I hope, soul friends, this episode has brought some more clarity on the conscious manifestation process for you. And don't forget, my latest group program, Manifesting Love, is starting in July of 2023. This is honestly the perfect program for anyone who is ready to go within and do the reflective work that will get their garden ready for love. We will be using a lot of tools such as NLP, application of relational theories, Kundalini chants, and many more to help you gain clarity on the barriers that you have subconsciously built within yourself that are preventing you from experiencing kind love. So if this is something you're interested in, check out the show notes for the sign up link. And as always, if you have any specific questions, please send them my way, and I would love to answer them in upcoming episodes. Sending you lots and lots of love. Speak soon.
Thank you for joining us this week on Minutes on Growth. If you enjoyed today's episode, then make sure you never miss a show by clicking the subscribe button now.